Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, let's start with question number 21. For all positive integers a, b, and c, which of the following is false? What struck me with this question is that they said for all positive integers. Whether or not that will play out into this is answer is just important to know. It's a nice thing to know that they are positive integers. Okay, so which one of them is false? Okay, so I just kind of went through this. Okay, a over c, b over c equals a over c. Okay, this is true because you can divide that, and that's true. Now here is a squared b squared. That's true. That's easy enough. And these two cancel out. These two cancel out. That's just equal. That's true. So okay, how about this one? So it's between these two, right? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. But no, look at this. So here, this one you can open up this like this to b over b. Okay, because when you have a fraction like this, a plus b over b, you can open this up into like this, right? So that will become this over here, a over b plus b over b. And this is, you cancel out a over b plus 1. And that's the same thing as here. That's true. So by default, this is the answer. And that's really it. And if you were to open this up, there's no way you can really get this out. But if you were to try to figure this out, you get a common denominator here on this side. That would be a. The common denominator would be c. That would be a plus c. I mean, that's just wrong actually. So anyway, so the answer here, I believe, is E. Okay, number 22. What is the slope-intercept form of this equation? The slope-intercept form is, of course, like written like in this way. Okay, so this is like, okay, we have to get this. You have to get rid of these, right? So, or you can just move the y over here. You can get rid of those things, or you realize it's negative y. You can just move the y over here. So you get minus 3x plus 7 equals y. Okay, well if you did, so that's the slope-intercept form, which is like this over here. Now if you didn't see that, so okay, you would move the 7 over there, move the 3, and so you get minus y equals 3x minus 7, multiply the whole thing by negative 1, you get this over here. Okay, this is same answer. So anyway, so that's the answer. Number 23. Which of the following is a solution to the equation this? Well, this is x squared minus 16x equals 0. Now this is the quadratic, but this is not a fancy quadratic. This is an easy quadratic because there's no third term here. So here you just factor this out. So x minus 16. So if you take out an x, you factor out an x from both of these terms, you get x times the quantity x minus 16. There's no square rooting or any of that stuff over here. Equals 0. So x is equal to 0 or x equal to 16. These are the two answers. So the x equals 16 is the answer. Now this is an important question to appreciate, because when you see something like this, somebody might be inclined to think, or factoring or quadratic formula, x equals opposite of b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a and all of that stuff. But this is a very simple quadratic, It's like somebody says x squared minus 5 equals 20. This is like, well, add 5 to both sides. X squared is 25. Take square root of both sides. You get x squared is plus or minus 5. So not all quadratics are tough. This is a very good example of a quadratic that's not very difficult. Here you just factor out an x and you get the answer. Number 24. For the right triangle, that's very good, ABC below, what is the tangent of C? Of course, you can only use these tangent trigonometric ratios for right triangles. So that's and we also know it's the right triangle. I just wanted to bring to your attention that angles are labeled with capital letters over here. That's just mustahab, and the sides are labeled with small letters here. Side opposite of A, small a, side opposite of C, small c, side opposite of B, small b. That's just mustahab, mathematical manners, but they're kind of following those mathematical manners, which is good. So now we ask for tangent of C. Well, this is so katoa. Okay, so sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So they're asked for this tangent of C. That's C. The opposite side is C, adjacent side is A. So tangent of C is C over A, opposite over adjacent. Is this C over A? Okay. Now, so these are pretty. Remember, just also remember, just as a review, sine of an angle over cosine of an angle is the tangent of an angle. Sometimes you might be given this and this and asked to find the tangent, because sine of gerene, cosine of gerene equals tangerine. That might be an easy question if you know that rule. Question number 25 says, a chord 30 centimeters long is 8 centimeters from the center of the circle, as shown below. What is the radius of the circle to the nearest tenth of a centimeter? This is a very interesting question and asks you actually to whether or not you know a couple of things. Okay, I like this question. So for a chord 30 centimeters long, okay, is 8 centimeters from the center of the circle, from here to here. Now, this is important because the way you measure the distance from a center to a chord is the perpendicular distance. In fact, that's how you measure distance from any point to a line. You draw a perpendicular. You don't measure distance like this, obviously. So what the hidden clue here is they don't tell you that this is a right angle. That's how you measure distance. So if you knew that, that makes life much easier. So we are asked to find what the radius is. Now, if you knew that, that's not sufficient actually. But if you unless you knew this rule, okay, if a radius is perpendicular to a chord, it bisects the chord like this. Okay, that's easy enough to prove. So if a radius is perpendicular, it bisects the chord. So that now we know that this side is 15, and then you realize, oh, this is 8, 15, 17 triangle. Okay. So a couple of interesting things in this question. First is that the distance to a chord is measured from center to the chord as perpendicular distance, and if a radius is perpendicular to a chord like this, it bisects the chord like that. Also, if one chord is perpendicular to another chord, this chord has to. If one chord is perpendicular to another chord, this chord has to be a diameter. That's another interesting thing from this. So just as a review, this is a chord, this is a secant, and this is a tangent like this, one point over here. Okay, just this is a tangent, this is a secant, and that's a chord. Just also popular chord tangent questions. All right, so you have two tangent segments. These are two tangent segments. You know, there's tangent over here. Two tangent segments from the same point are congruent. That's a theorem. Two tangent segments from the same point are congruent. Okay, and while we are on the subject of chords and stuff, these you gotta know. I don't know if this will be there or not. Okay, so this value here, x here, this is a and b over here. The measure of angle x is a minus b over 2. This minus this over 2. And if it's like this, one is a tangent and the other one is a secant, that's a and b, and x is the same thing. X is a minus b over 2. Okay? And a and b. And then if there are two tangent segments, these are both tangent segments, that's a and this is b, and that's x. X is still a minus b over 2 over here. Okay, and the final case scenario is I think over here. So this is a, and this angle is x right here. This angle is x. Okay, so the measure of angle x is going to be a over 2. I believe it's the those are the theorems that are related to tangents. Okay. Okay, number 26. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, number 26. The velocity in meters per second. Velocity is speed. It's a little bit more than speed. Speed in a certain direction. Speed in a certain direction. Okay, like this is going in a certain direction in a certain speed. So velocity is speed in a certain direction. Is meters per second of an object is given by an equation this. So this is velocity, the speed of this object at any given time, where t is the amount of time that has passed in seconds. After how many seconds will the object be traveling at that many meters per second? So that's the velocity. So that's going to be 0.575. Just substitute that in place of the v over here, equals 5/3 t plus 0.05. You solve for this, you subtract 0.05 and 0.05. You do that, and then whatever you get, you multiply by the reciprocal over here, and I believe the answer is like, I think I got this. That was the final answer for this one. Okay, 315. Question number 27. Question number 27. Question number 27 says, the city has decided to store an estimated 15,000 cubic yards of sand for later distribution to city's beaches. If this sand were spread evenly over an entire soccer field, shown below, about how many yards deep would the sand be? Well, we know the length and the width of this yard, and if they're putting the sand here, it would be like, like this. That's going to be a certain height, right? And it's supposedly evenly distributed, so that's the height over here. Let's call the height x over here. So the volume of this thing, this length times width times height, would be 60.5 times all of this. You add this together, that's 100 plus 18, 136. That's length times width, and times height is going to be the x. Okay, we want this to be 15,000 cubics, and then you just solve for x. You divide both sides by this and this, so x is going to be 15000 divided by 60.5 and 136, and this came out to be 1.8 or something like that. 1.83. This symbol means approximately. That's that. Okay. Now the hypotenuse of a right triangle ABC shown is 18. Okay. The cosine of A is 4/5. So we're talking about A. Now the cosines are ratios of they're going to be constant for a given angle. So cosine of A is 4/5. Okay. And then what's the length of AC? Okay, let's call that x. Okay, so cosine of an angle is determined adjacent over the hypotenuse. Okay, that's x over, in this case the hypotenuse is 18. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and they're given to 4/5, and this over that. So well, we just solve for x by multiplying both sides by 18, and 4/5 times 18, and this ends up being 14.4. That's what I got. Okay. The graph below shows the number of beds in several hotels. Round this to a nearest 50, meaning that each one of them is like 50. Each box here represents 50. So they're like 75 beds over here. This is like 100 beds. This is like 400 beds. 100 beds. This is like 200 beds. And this is like 125 beds. Okay? So, according to the graph, what fraction of the beds in these 4 hotels, bedtime hotel, how many of them belong to bedtime hotel? Okay, so you know, you can do this in terms of number of beds, like this, or you can say, well, this is like 2.5 boxes. So how many total boxes is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, right? 10 total boxes. Okay, you can just do that. 2.5 boxes and 10. Or you can do like, okay, 75 plus how that's 175. That's like 375, 400, 500. So it'd be 500. Okay, I think I did that math right. And then this is like, and this is like 125. And you divide this out, the ratio would be, if you multiply this, I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 10, so get 25 over 100. Okay, and this is like 1 over 4. Okay, the easiest thing here, I think, is just to cut the boxes like that. But you can do the whole math too. That's 29. Number 30 says, point B and C lie on AD. B and C lie on AD. Shown below. The length of AD is 38 units. Okay, that's 38. AC from here to here, AC is 26 units. Well, if that's 26 units, from here 26 to 38, right? That's how many? 8 plus that's 12, right? Okay. And then BD is 20 units. Okay, so that's BD is 20 units. Well, that's 20 units. We already know how much this is. So this is 8. Okay, so you follow? 8. What's the length of BC? Well, we just did that. That's 8. Okay. Alright, hopefully you got that. Inshallah. Alright, so after, let's keep going. I'm just going to cut paste some of these. Let's do 31 here. Okay, maybe I'll cut paste a little bit. After a brief pause, inshallah, we shall continue. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's continue 31. What is the x-coordinate of the point in the standard xy coordinate plane at which the two lines intersect? Here's the y equals 4x plus 10. And then the other one is y equals 5x plus 7. Basically, we are asked to solve these system of equations. These align. The best thing is to substitute, I think. You can substitute this over here. So you get 5x plus 7 equals 4x plus 10. Alright, so solving this, take this to this side, get x, and take that to that side, get 3. I think that's all they ask for. What's the x coordinate? You didn't have to solve for y. For all pairs of real numbers v and w, where v equals this, w equals what? So they're here basically asking you to solve this equation for w. V equals 5w plus 4. Solving this for w, 5w equals v minus 4. So w equals v minus 4 over 5. That, I believe, is the answer. 33. Parallelogram, this, with dimensions in centimeters is shown in figure. What is the area of the parallelogram? Area of the parallelogram is base times height. In this case, this is the base. That's 20. Height is 12. Okay. So that's 12 times 2 is 144. 24 and 10. That's 240. 240. That, I believe, is the answer. 34. This is a nice question. s equals this, then t minus s cubed is what? Well, s is equal to 4 plus t, okay? You can't solve for s and t over here, right? But we asked t minus s. I don't know what t minus s is. But you see, I can solve this for t minus s. So I subtract both sides, s from both sides. I get 0 equals 4 plus t minus s. Come on, please. There we go. Take the 4 to that side, you get negative 4 equals t minus s. Okay? Now look at this. Now I got t minus, now I just have to cube it. So if I cube this, t minus s cubed, I get what t minus s cubed is. So I cubed this. So negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 is negative 64. Okay? So that is negative 64. Okay. This question looks harder than it is. So a zoo has the shape of and dimensions in the yards given below. In viewing, the viewing point for the giraffe is halfway between B and F. Here's B and F. To look at the giraffe, you have to go halfway between these two right there. In other words, at the midpoint. That's the key. That's where you have to go. Okay. Which of the following is the location of the viewing point from the entrance point A? So that's the entrance. So what's the location here? Okay, so alright, so we have to basically find the coordinates over here. Well, B is easy because 800, and if you look at this as an XY coordinate plane, see, this is the x-axis and y-axis, this is the origin, this is A, so B here is going to be 800, 0, okay, right? If this was the origin, that's the y-axis, x-axis, so it's 800, 0. The ordered pair that corresponds to F here is, okay, well, this is 50, that's 50, and you subtract that from the 800, you get the x coordinate to be 700. Okay, now this thing is 100. This whole thing is 700. So take away 100, you get 600. That's the coordinates for F. So that's the F, and that's this. So the midpoint is the average of the coordinates, x1, so the midpoint is average of 700, 800, that's 750. Average of 600, 0, that's 300. So you go 750 east and 300 north, and ta-da, D, that's D. So this is basically asking for coordinates for the midpoint there. Okay. Now, the larger of two numbers is 6 less than the triple the smaller number. Okay. The sum, so we are talking about two numbers. There's a larger number and there's a small number. Okay? That's what we're talking about. The larger of two numbers, 6 less than triple the smaller number. They tell us, okay, let's read it. The sum of 4 times the larger and twice the smaller is that. If x represents the smaller number, they give it to you. Okay, so this is x is the smaller number. They didn't tell us what the y is, so we just what the large number is, so let's call it y. Okay, now look at this. The larger of the two numbers, that's y, is 6 less than, look at this, less than, triple the smaller number. Now this is going to be 6 less than, in the end, put it in the end, 6 less than, triple the smaller number, 3 times x. So that's what that translates to. The larger of the numbers is 6 less than triple the smaller number. Okay. The sum of 4 times the larger number, that's 4 times the larger number, plus the sum of 4 times the number, and twice the smaller number, is 77. Okay. We got that. So now we have two equations. See, there's one over here and one over here. So you can solve them if you want. Which if the x represents smaller than which of the following equation determines the correct value for x? So, well, it looks like they substituted, see? They substituted this in place of y. So they have 4 times 3x minus 6. That's how you would solve this anyways, right? If you want to solve this, you substitute that in place of y, plus 2x equals 77. That's how you would solve it, but they're not asking you to solve it. They're just asking you what it would be, so it'd be like this. J. Okay? So this is an interesting question. Sometimes they talk about consecutive numbers and things like that. So if x is, if two numbers are consecutive numbers, if one is x, the next one would be x plus 1, right? If two numbers are consecutive odd numbers, if one is x, the other one would be x plus 2. If two numbers are consecutive even numbers, if one is x, the other one would be x plus 2. This is kind of side extra stuff. Consecutive numbers. Alright, do another. 37. A painter leans a 35-foot ladder. That's 35. That's a 35-foot ladder against a house. The side of the house is perpendicular, thank goodness, to the level ground, and the base of the ladder is 15 feet away from the base of the house. To the nearest foot, how far up the house is the ladder's reach? So, in other words, how big is that? Well, Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. 15 squared plus x squared equals 35 squared. So you have to solve this for x. So x is going to be equal to 35 squared minus 15 squared. That ends up being, I think, 32. Okay? Alright, it cannot be D and E, definitely, because the hypotenuse has to be the biggest one. Anyways, hypotenuse, the legs can't be bigger than the hypotenuse. What kind of a right triangle would that be? Okay. 38. A circle of radius 6 inches inscribed in a square, as shown below. What is the area of the square in square inches? This was like easy question. I have to read twice to make sure I wasn't missing anything. What is the area of the square? They're asking for the area of the square. Area of the square is side times side, right? So you just have to find the side length. Okay? So what's the side length? Well, this radius is 6. This radius is 6. The whole thing is 12. So that's going to be 12. 12 times 12 is 144. That's easy. I'm sure. Now, if the question was, okay, let's say they shaded this part over here, okay? You know, they asked for the shaded area. Then you would take the area of the square and subtract that from the area of the circle, which is pi r squared, okay? So that would be the area of the shaded region, if you wanted to do that. But this was a straightforward question in this way. 39. The side of a triangle are in the ratio exactly of this. A second triangle similar to the first triangle. Okay, so we have one triangle. We'll just draw this out. So this is 15, 17, 20. That's the ratio. And there's a second triangle similar to the first one. So I'm just going to draw it out. Similar to the first one. Has a longest side of 12. I didn't draw it right, but okay, 12. That's the longest side. That corresponds to this longest side of 12. To the nearest tenth, what is the length of the shortest side of the second triangle? Well, if I do this picture correctly, the shortest side would be here. So, well, similar triangles. Two figures are similar if all their sides are proportional and all their corresponding angles are congruent. Okay, right? Okay. So while these two, if they're similar, then x over 15 has to be, this over this has to be equal to 12 over 20. You have to make sure you put the proportions, right? Right? And then you solve for x. So x is going to be equal to 12 times over 20 times 15. 5 goes in there 4 times, 5 goes in there 3 times, 4 goes in there 1 time, 4 goes in there 3 times, it's 9. That is 9. That's that. Similar triangles. Where all this came from? Okay, let's erase some of this. What is going on? Okay, so in the figure below we have a trapezoid. Okay, thank you. That's good. This is a trapezoid. Point X lies on WT, okay, and the angles are as my. What is the measure of ZXT? We want to know what this is. Now, if you want to know what that is, you have to know one key property of a trapezoid. The definition of a trapezoid is that it has to have only one pair of sides that are parallel. I mean, if you, that's what's a trapezoid. If you take something that does not have any sides of a any sides parallel, that's not a trapezoid, right? If both all sides parallel, then you have parallelogram. But this is a trapezoid. That's the key. These two lines are parallel. So this question is more about parallel lines than about a trapezoid, but it's about both really. But that's what's checking. So if we asked to find this, well, this is alternate interior angle to this, right? Because if you have a line that's a transversal, right? Alternate interior angles are congruent, right? Corresponding angles are congruent, okay? Alternate exterior angles are congruent. And consecutive interior angles are supplementary, right? Those you gotta remember. So alternate interior congruent, alternate exterior congruent, corresponding angles congruent, and consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Anyways, so these are alternate interior angles. So we need to know what this is, and we get that. So and then this is a triangle over here. See, they add up to 180 degrees. To find this, you just go 180 minus 95 minus 20, and that's like 65. So that's 65. So that's 65 right there. Okay. Yeah. If you also you can do the this is 20. This is alternate interior. That's 20. Same way you get 65 as well if you wanted to do it this way. That's the line, right? But either way, the key thing is to understand parallel lines, okay, and then trapezoid, okay. So parallel lines, hopefully that's clear. That's question number 40. Inshallah, after next time we should do the next 20 questions. Until then, Assalamu alaikum.